So what? Look.
It's the new OGs. The new OGs is a State and Madison Entertainment production and is brought to you by Solar Masters. Look, Illinois is changing how people get their electricity, and Solar Masters is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. If you're a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, you can raise the value of your home, and you can do something good for the environment without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. In fact, Solar Masters can only work with you if they can save you money. Solar Masters is a black-owned company and a SunPower dealer, an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience. They even have a referral program that pays out as much as $500 per referral. So head over to www.gosolarmasters.com.
Hey, Bobby!
Yes, sir.
Bobby!
Yes, sir.
I had a quick question. Let's want to run this back for the people.
Yeah. Let's run it
back. We'll
back.
make sure we get everything right.
We got to make sure we get it right.
You said people could save money every single month on their electric bill.
Every month on their electric bill. Absolutely.
We can do our small part to help the environment be a little bit more better.
You can do your little part to just, to play a role in making it better for the world.
And even if you ain't got no home, you can refer somebody that does, and if they do it, you get $500 every time you do that?
You know what's crazy? If you are homeless, you could actually refer somebody, and as long as we have some way to get you the money, you can make $500 every time you do it.
I don't know why I asked you to repeat that every time, because it just sounds like an amazing deal. But I really only wanted to jump in right now and ask you a quick question. You think Dr. Fauci's still fucking?
Dr. Fauci's got to be still fucking.
He's still fucking, right?
He's got to be still fucking.
Fauci fucks.
Yeah, man. And if you don't have Fauci's talent, but you want to keep fucking at Fauci's age, try and make yourself $500 by getting over to www.gosolarmasters.com. Get in contact for a free consultation or to free someone that you know. We are also brought to you by People of Comedy. Get over to People of Comedy on Facebook. See all the great shows they've got offered. They're check-in daily. They've got new, fresh podcasts you can watch and listen to wherever you listen to pods. I can't wait till we can share some of the great stuff coming from James Webb, the head of People of Comedy, but lips must be sealed.
People of Comedy king of the People of Comedy.
Lips must be sealed. All right. Let's not tell everybody what's going on. Happy 9/11 Eve, everybody. How are we doing?
Oh, wow.
How are we planning to celebrate for this one?
Wow.
That was.
What are we supposed to eat? Two bitters and one sweet.
I think that
two towers and the.
Not a beautiful assist. That was a steal.
The real assist was the opening after the assist always comes after XL shits on or asks questions about whatever the fuck we're talking about. That's where the only chance at a great assist comes in early on, and then from there we just got to play it by ear.
When
but
XL takes us off track.
What's up, Bex?
What's up, Rob? I'm doing well, man. This was a nice, chill week for me. I got some good news. I got some good pussy. That shit was awesome.
Good news and good pussy. Sometimes it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like sometimes it can work. Sometimes it works like this. Sometimes it works like that. It was not the same thing. It was several different things, but anyway, and I wrote some great bits.
One was a part of the other, right? Like the good pussy was part of your good news of the week.
No. I'm trying to say there was two separate things. The pussy was kind of not a surprise.
like good news to me.
It was not a surprise. But you ever listen to a song that you've heard before, but then you hear a lyric differently and you realize, like, oh shit, I didn't realize they were saying that. Wow, I like this even more.
Right.
That ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that happened with some pussy. That was some pussy. I hit it in a different way. I lost like 45 pounds in the last 6 months.
Congratulations, dude.
Yeah. So I think I got like 1.5 inches more dick.
Which by the way is not helping any cervixes out there. You know what I mean? Every cervix just like recoiled further back into.
So there's a Chris Rock on.
We're doing wall deepening exercises now. That's what's happening.
Chris Rock on
fucking HGTV has moved into fucking bitches' vaginas talking about I'm gonna knock out this wall, put in a partition over here.
Hey,
this whole area got to be cleared out. Just the neck alone.
Girl gonna tell me.
Good Bones is the name of the show.
Hey, this chick gonna tell me. XL, you acting brand new because you lost a little weight. You think you about something, and I want to make clear to everybody, Me losing weight is not making me act different at all. But this extra 2 inches of dick, though. Oh, it's changing a motherfucker. I will say I didn't have swag
there
before.
was a moment last week where I saw the only weak part of probably most of the like. We've had moments. I think the walk to soundbar that one night was an interesting display of like XL fallibility, you know, where it was just like, oh, this nigga could be beaten. You know what I mean? It was just like,
He's got to walk him around the block a couple times.
There's a chick in this nigga's armor. Holy shit. Like, there might be a spot. Like, oh my God. You know, like when you finally are just like, oh, there's the part of the neck you have to go for. It was like, there was that mode. And then we were at Stand Up last week, which is on the first Friday of every month at District in Chicago. Get there for that. We were there on Friday this past week, and there was a dude. That dude was 7 feet tall, easy, right? That dude was 7 feet. XL was at the bar talking to somebody, and he turned around, and this brother that was standing over to the side, and X was just immediate. Like you could see, like his face just shrink in horror. Like
I was so goddamn mad.
He was mad and concerned and unsure. Like he was immediately unsure because he turns, he goes, oh shit. He's like, he looked at me and goes, I'm so used to being the biggest nigga in the room, and was just like confused, man. He was straight up confused.
Like I am accustomed to Chicago has a lot of tall motherfuckers. I'm used to seeing a few 6'5", maybe even a 6'7", maybe even a 6'8" dude, somebody that got me. You know what I'm saying? But me standing next to a 6'8" dude, I'm still big man because I'm wider. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still a big man. This dude, he wasn't big, he wasn't wide, but he was so much taller than me, it didn't matter. and he did some tall nigga shit. He did the exact shit I do to y'all all the time. He's basically like, it's all right, little man. Like that's basically how he treated me, man. I was so fucking mad. I was like, oh, I hope you break your ankle, nigga. Fuck you.
He was mad and disarmed.
Whoever you are, sir, from the new OGs, I would like to thank you.
Right.
I would like to thank you for giving my dear brother some perspective.
Taller niggas in XL love shout outs. That's how that
goes. He was a cool dude. He's a cool dude. I hope you don't hurt your ankle, man. I'm fucking with you, but he was actually a pretty cool guy. Him and his wife or girlfriend or whatever.
I mean, he's a cool guy. Like you, a cool guy, nigga, because you too tall to have shit to be not cool about. You know what I mean? Like.
I made a joke. I said, because when I played overseas, I got cut because they got a 6'11" motherfucker to take my spot. I'm only 6'7". They was like, yeah, you out. And I was like, you look like the nigga that took my spot. And he goes, Sweden? No, I never played in Sweden, but yeah. Like he had to think about it for a second. And I was like, oh, fuck you, nigga, fuck you.
He was like, I took somebody's spot in some country somewhere. You know what I mean?
Like he thought about it. He said, Sweden?
He named one. Nah, he named one like he might have had a couple he was going to go to. You know what I mean? Like he may have hit Turkey next or some shit like that. He was just going to roll off to another one, you know? It was pretty wild, man. Rob, what's up with you, man? How was your week, dog?
Hey, I had a point that I wanted to make, but we've ridden way past that point. So I'm going to enjoy the space in which you have currently placed me, by saying the following: I know exactly how you feel, Xavier. So okay, this is the thing. Like in most situations I was going in weighing as much as I was, even when I lost weight, I was still fat. But I was still really strong, like really, really ridiculously, if you make me mad, strong. And I would be walking around like I say, okay, this nigga might hit me a little work, right? So, but most of the time I go in the room like, yeah, I'll fuck all y'all up. You know? But then I started hanging around y'all. I was like, damn, I know what other people feel like now.
Yeah, it bees like that sometimes, you know. Like, I mean, you know, because I'm kind of in the mid. Like for me, there's a lot of just like, oh, this would be work. There's a lot of this would be work. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of it's built just off of cockiness of like, I lost fights a lot when I was young, and then I stopped losing, and then I hadn't lost one from the time I was a teenager. And like for a span of like a couple of decades, any fight I got in, I was pretty happy at the end of it. You know, like not even just like dogfight happy, just like wow, I'm up to another motherfucker. Like this is wild. Like I got a streak going. But like now I also know that all these MMA motherfuckers, like I wasn't taught. I know some things, but I don't know any official styles, my nigga. I'm not gonna hit you with like, you know, rehearse. These niggas is in the gym every day, fucking rolling around. That's why I'm out, because because
I know there's some crazy shit to say, but I swear to God it's true because it was like right in my wheelhouse. If I was like 10 years younger, I probably would have been fighting Kimbo Slice. Like, that's how much I used to fucking fight. I was fighting after college in bars in Lincoln Park and shit. But I used to kick it in Lincoln Park so much that I knew all the bouncers, and all the bouncers knew I was cool. So they figured if somebody started a fight, it was the same shit. It was the same story every time. It was like a group of white boys angry that I was talking to some white bitches and got mad and then decided they wanted to try me. They literally would say the same thing every time. I'm not afraid of you, bro. Like, out of nowhere, there would be nothing leading into it. There would be no like conversation. There was no conversation that precipitated that came before that made him say that. He just would walk. They would just walk up to me and say it.
It's funny because
and
there's a very
like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I want to know where that break point is because I'm 6'2". And I've gotten that also, where like short guys or smaller guys.
They just assume that, I guess, that we walk around thinking that we're just punking out like white boys and shit like that. And it's like, if I'm at a bar, I don't drink anymore. But when I was back then, I was at a bar. I was there for two motherfucking reasons: to get something hard to drink and find somebody
Here's what is mistaken. I think about that is like when you are like. What we're talking about is the confidence that comes with being big enough to not have to be afraid of much or be concerned about whatever, right? Like, because we know that in the end, as statistics tend to prove, like it's kind of easier in the world for taller guys and for bigger guys. Like when it comes to like life satisfaction, right? Like getting women, like you said, I'm 6'7". I ain't got, you know what I mean? Like that's built in, and so there's a confidence that comes where like we're gonna tell you whatever the fuck we want to tell you because like we are not concerned about a physical situation, and that gets taken a lot of times as like trying to punk people out when the reality is no, motherfucker, I'm just telling you what the fuck I think. Also, you're free to do the same thing, but that doesn't mean we got to fight about it. Also, you know what I mean? Like also, I'm not telling you what I think because I want to fight you. I'm telling you what I think because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Also, let's not forget the grandfather of all conflict, racism. Like there's also that. Like I remember our mutual friend Rob, who I've known for 20 years, and he was around with me. He was actually
74% of XL's friends are named some form of Robert.
Yes,
by the way,
it's factual.
17 Robs, there's 12 Bobbies.
Statement. I know way too many Robs and shit. It's like a theme. You motherfuckers are the variants into my Kang. Just a gang of you motherfuckers everywhere. But he used to be a bouncer dude, and he knows how to fight and shit like that. And I remember, but he used to hate when I fought all the time because he knew, like, eventually shit was gonna go bad for me or whatever. And so he's the one who stopped me from him. Anyway, my point is saying this: the shit was funny about racism. One time, I bumped into a guy, very very crowded bar. Bumped into a guy. I made him spill his drink. I apologized profusely and offered to buy a guy a drink immediately because that's just I do.
I've seen you in person do that over like bumping somebody.
Yeah. And the guy's like, oh, it's fine, no big deal. And I walked away, and he didn't realize Rob, who's like very, very white, he's about like 2 or 3 people behind me. And as soon as I walked away, the guy goes, "That's right, nigger, you better have." And Rob heard him and just was like, "You know what? I don't give a fuck this time. Hey, XL."
How'd it go for that dude?
It went badly. It went really badly. Because I was extra pissed that I was super nice to him and he did that. I was like, man, what the fuck? I was like, nah, I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go.
Oh, do you know? So this is a thing I have not experienced is like the level of world-turning events that happens when like you have somebody who is definitely big enough to crush your fucking soul, bump you, and then like take an authoritarian style mode towards that person who was super kind to you and was like, and you think they're away, right? Like I've gotten away with getting bumped, getting a new drink from this person who I think is beneath me despite the fact that he could devour me by choice, and now he's away and I'm going to be free of it, and then have that person be told what you just said and then return to you like
angry.
Like the feelings,
drunk a little bit already,
the feelings in your body that have to happen when like that man, when that giant of a man has like spun around on you, like the fuck.
You know how I get? I'm generally real chill, but you know how I get excited real easy.
Yeah.
I used to have that flip to rage really easy.
Yes.
Like again, Rob.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the homie Rob. Like he got me to chill on that shit a lot.
Shout out.
And he got me to chill out on that shit. But when I went to rage, it was literally like to 10 immediately. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm mad. Okay. Rah!
Right. Yeah.
But Tiggs, also, I want to just say, I think I've told this story before, just to give you an idea how cool I generally was. There used to be a bar here called Buddha Lounge where I didn't even, somebody else bumped the owner and made him spill his drink. And when he turned around, he was a short dude, like 5'6". When he turned around, he looked up, all he saw was me. He thought I did it. He got really pissed.
Right.
He started screaming and shit at me. I was trying to explain. He wouldn't listen. He made the bouncers like throw me out. And they threw me out, and they apologized as they were throwing me out. Like, they didn't like grab me and throw me out. They like asked me to leave, and I was like, cool guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna pretty much believe no one has ever grabbed XL to throw him out. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's been kicked out of multiple places, but I'm pretty sure it's all been by agreement.
But here's the thing. This is funny. I was there with a bunch of people. They had to leave because of me. Because we were all there together, and they explained what happened. Anyway, the next night we went, and we had the best spot in VIP. The bouncers hooked us up to apologize for throwing me out the night before.
A lot of my fights,
I was so chill.
A lot of my fights in my 20s were drug sales related. I had people that had sold me fake shit. I had to run down. Or people were insulting people who I was in business with, and we were in, raves, and it was a wild time in the '90s in Chicago. A lot of chromium picolinate got sold as MDMA because people weren't testing things. There's a lot of that going on, and it was a big mess. But on the flip side of it, though, pills may be a little speedy or a little smacky, either with an agent that would either make you a little more awake or a little more, maybe there was something in there that was, people would say heroin, but at the time that was not really what was happening. There was some other type of heroin, like maybe an opiate of some other source that they were bringing there, but they weren't mixing heroin with that, which is a wild thing because last week, over the weekend, a situation happened in California where 2 comics died from from doing cocaine that was laced with fentanyl. And one comic who is actually a buddy of mine was hospitalized and was in intensive care for a while and is doing better now, but all from cocaine that was laced with fentanyl.
I don't even understand that combination. Those are 2 different directions, aren't they?
No,
not necessarily.
Fentanyl, yeah, it is, but it's about the addictive qualities. So you don't need a ton of it. You don't need a ton of it in there. The crazy thing with fentanyl is some people die and some people take it and they're fine, because what's confusing about when you talk about it being in there is what your mind thinks is it automatically just assumes it's evenly throughout, right? You go, but you pour out a line of shit and maybe the line is 5% fentanyl, maybe the line is 17%. You know what I mean? Of what you scoop out when you're doing lines of blow. If it's just kind of casually mixed in there, even if they shake it, it's still particles wind up randomly. And sometimes the amount you pull out is a larger amount of fentanyl that's been pulled out than a larger amount of cocaine. And it doesn't take a ton of fentanyl to fuck you up really badly.
Man, they done fucking ruined cocaine, man. God damn.
The thing that's been there's 2 things that are out of it, and I hate how I have to say this
very
because
close stuff.
We live in a world that's kind of created this situation about drugs where I've seen so many fucking times people saying shit about hard drugs.
Yeah. As
if that is a thing. There is no such fucking thing as hard drugs. There's just drugs. It's all drugs. If you sat down and you drank 15 pots, as many pots of coffee in a day as you could, you would also be fucked up. Mm-hmm. You'd probably be in the hospital. You know what I mean? And people every day wake up and take in caffeine. People that quit drugs and tell you they're sober are drinking coffee all the time. Right?
This guy.
All the outpouring, the outpouring of people that wanted to say something about hey man, if anybody who struggles with something, my dad was a longtime heroin and cocaine addict who got himself clean. And so anybody who is dealing with a situation and can pull themselves out of it in whatever manner works for them that isn't harming somebody else to do so, good on you, right? But there's also this thing where we're deciding what drugs make you sober and what drugs don't make you sober. And I'm not sure that's real. I just don't know how real that is. And
I don't understand.
They didn't overdose on cocaine. Overdosing on cocaine is you do so much cocaine that it fucks you up. That is overdose. They were poisoned.
Yeah.
They were poisoned by someone. Whatever it is that you're like, if they were drinking coffee and there was fentanyl in the coffee, they didn't overdose on coffee.
Yeah.
Somebody poisoned the fucking coffee.
Oh, I didn't understand. People were saying. I didn't even get into that part of the discussion with folks. I stayed away from it. I saw what happened when I said I'm not fucking with it. I just, unless I have some kind of a super trusted source, which is
of course
these days. Is
how do you know?
Crazy.
Really,
that's I don't even want to take the chance.
It also speaks to the legalization, right? I mean,
yeah. Also, the fentanyl thing really bothers me, and you would probably know this better than I would. Can that be made on the street? Isn't that one of those? Isn't that one of those things that has to be made by a pharmaceutical?
From what I know of how fentanyl gets in the country, a lot of it comes through Mexico and from Asia, and a lot of the stuff that comes from Mexico even comes from Asia.
Oh wow! Oh, okay.
But I think some of the stuff you need to make fentanyl, I don't know if there's a lot of fentanyl made here that's getting out into the streets.
Oh yeah, I didn't know if it was made at all. I thought that was like pharmaceutical, like had to be produced.
And I mean, here's the thing. Here's why I kind of like there's no such thing as street Oxycontin. I get the danger of addiction, right? Like addiction is a terrible thing, but like and while you can prove some things may or may not be more physically addictive, to some people that's true. I've done cocaine. I've done meth. None of it was a thing that was like habitual for me. Well, it was always recreational and like social for me.
That's what.
So like,
there's a thing. Well, there's a thing with genetics too.
Absolutely, but that's why I'm saying. But like, that's an addiction thing. That's not a drug thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's an addiction thing. Yeah,
people who are 600 pounds and can't stop eating Twinkies are addicted to something too. You know what I mean?
That addiction trait manifests itself some way. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you've stopped doing all the drugs except for the nicotine that you now smoke every 15 minutes when you go outside. It's just like, people get locked into things, patterns, things for relief, things for comfort. That can all happen, but as someone who has successfully been able to do drugs without the drugs being the reason for my problems necessarily in life, as it were, and not having an habitual thing that is like out of control.
You and I both have the weird, because
I think a lot of people have it.
Addiction can be hereditary. I was saying we both have the weird coincidence of having fathers who are addicts. And we are
not having that
gene.
I mean, I fear for my kid because I'm just like, I hope that's not some generation skipping shit.
I've had that conversation with my kid quite a bit because I was like, hey man, I dodged that bullet. I don't know how.
And that's not to say, hey, everybody go do drugs at some point. And it's like, I also feel like, because drugs plays with chemicals in the brain, people that don't have great chemical makeups going on probably should, pay some attention to what it is they may or may. I spent a lot of time reading about shit before I did anything, and that doesn't mean that was good enough or was necessarily, but like, I knew I didn't want to do things that I didn't want to do opiates. I knew that right off the bat. Like that was an easy decision for me, but like, I don't know. It's very difficult. And then, Michael K. Williams passed away, which they also think came from a possible overdose. Yeah. Which is, who knows?
They said drug paraphernalia, and I heard cocaine and I heard heroin. I have not heard confirmed.
Which means white powder.
The reporting just said drug paraphernalia.
I just, my perspective, I understand, and I can agree with you to an extent, but my thing is, I just saw too many of the effects to just be like, you know what I mean? So that's why it took me so long to even smoke weed.
Yeah.
Even though the coolest people in my life smoke weed, I still like, I don't know, man. I seen what this crack shit is doing.
Yeah.
I don't want no parts of this shit. You know what
I mean? I think the reality too is like the effects are also largely built on the people themselves, right? Like, because I remember being a meth dealer and selling meth to people who were living vibrant careers, who had been doing meth before they met me and were still doing, like, people in the medical profession, at hospitals.
Some of the best mechanics in the hood are crackheads.
You know what I mean?
That's great mechanics will have your shit running.
And, the reality is that anything can tear somebody's life apart. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, addiction to anything can tear somebody's life apart, And it's a difficult situation to deal with, but I know that there's also an industry built around a lot of this shit too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so there's this underhanded thing that rides through this thing. Part of the reason people need to do all these, there's this issue of like, how you can keep cocaine from being laced? Sell it in a fucking store where there's regulation and there's measurements. So, like right now, if I go to a dispenser, I could walk into there and it says 27% THC.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, let me go figure out what the fuck I'm gonna get here.
Yeah, I was
Right?
just thinking of the lawsuit between them and Coca-Cola.
Here's the problem with that. The people who are currently getting that money will have to find another way to get that money.
I mean, that's what the situation with weed is right now, right?
Right. But I'm saying though, that means that you're gonna have to pay taxes on it when you ain't been paying taxes on whatever.
I mean, but you also avoid the potential of being in a hospital or being
going
dead.
to jail.
Or going to jail, right?
to acquire
no, the dudes who actually do it, they already made them felons. You know what I'm saying?
Obviously the reason why it won't happen is because you can't keep a prison population going if you have all this shit going on. Somebody was talking, so my partner's a psychologist in a prison and was dealing with a situation where, the only reason I know I can talk about it is because they only talked about the stuff that I'm allowed to know about. So I'm like, okay, but like they've been on lockdown because of an assault that happened there, and which means like, the people who work in other jobs, like the psychologists, have to also like now go work in the kitchen. And somebody was really confused about why that happens, and they had to explain to them, like, do you not understand, like, being in prison means that you are working in, like, people think working in prison is like Shawshank. You're maybe that dude who goes around passing the books out and shit. 90% of the functions that happen in the prison are done by inmates.
Yeah.
They do all the shit that goes on in the jail. The prison wouldn't work if
I would like to blow your minds. We would lock down the Cook County Jail and still send people out to work. Can't stop. You dig what I'm saying?
Wow.
Well, the way it works in the state that this person works in when it's on lockdown, they ain't out. The inmates that normally serve the food, they don't leave to go serve the food. Other people come in, even if they had to bring in the National Guard to help out, like literally if the inmates said we aren't going to work anymore, that could go on for like a couple of weeks with the National Guard standing in, but then it would just fall apart. The difficulty is the difficulty you'd find with the concept of Liz Estrada, right? Like at some point, somebody gonna break, right? Somebody gonna be like, "Shit, 5 cents an hour is better than sitting here not making nothing for all this time I'm being here."
Again, allow me to.
Well, Illinois may be different than the state we're talking about.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is, if you allow that, it will fix itself. I'm saying motherfuckers do not like being in a cell.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Man, so that's what I'm saying. Like it is exact, dude. They could do that tomorrow.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
If they could all quit tomorrow.
Yep. And then all you gotta do is put somebody there to watch them. So you put 4 motherfuckers. Dude. I'm telling you, you will never. The type of person that you pick to do this type of shit got the type of case that you ain't gonna pick no motherfucker that did 17 murders to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's not motherfucker you gonna pick. It's gonna be a dude you understand. And man, I'm telling you, it changes shit. These guys are begging you to come work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what's so crazy about it. That's a slave labor of prison, basically. But that is why they keep a drug trade going, because there are salaries going from the prison system to the federal agents to the whole deal. And instead of trying to rewire that so they can maybe create jobs in the actual industry, they can keep a superiority by keeping largely one style of the population locked away.
Hey, dig this. What they have decided to do now, from my firsthand view, especially there in the city of Chicago, is now they have decided they are going to lock up fewer people.
Right.
So that means somebody else will get this money.
Right.
So who's getting the money is probably the person who used to do that, and now they invested in home monitoring.
Right.
And so now they ain't even got to feed your ass and none of that shit. They just got to put the little box and collect that money from the state.
Yep. They're going to keep you at the crib. Times are changing, man. Speaking of which, it is the 20-year anniversary of 9/11 tomorrow. It has been 20 years. Which is wow. They were showing some of the pictures of back then. It's the thing about getting older and advancements in technology is it always comes out when they cut back to like 20 years ago. And the type of clothes and the haircuts that niggas had. Honestly, it's largely white people haircuts because you're just like, wow, that was really banging in 01, huh, nigga? That was what was kicking.
I'm pretty sure I was bald.
I was bald. I know I was bald.
I just shaved my hair off.
I was already a decade deep being bald by fucking 01, my man.
I had dreadlocks when I was in Europe, and when I came home, the first job I got, I cut them off because I thought that they wouldn't think they were professional. And then like 6 months after I worked there, the CEO, another guy had really long dreadlocks, and the CEO looks at me and goes, I think you'd look good with dreadlocks. I was like, motherfucker, I cut him off for this job.
In fact, when I think about where I was when the towers were being hit, I was at my, we were dating at the time. She's not my now ex-wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. We were at her place in Chicago, and I was getting ready to go back to work at the Lower Motors dealership downtown Chicago, and I was in the bathroom shaving my head when I was watching the TV in the mirror, so I watched the first plane hit backwards.
Oh wow!
Which doesn't mean anything. It was just interesting, like from an artistic concept. Like if we were filming that shit, like if my life was over, if somehow there's some intertwining that made it like that would be a great that's not a great artistic look. But yeah, and then I went into work and sat like it was down. You
went into work?
It was like it was in New York. The shit happened in New York. I'm in Chicago. The shit was in New York. It just happened.
We had a completely different reaction.
Hold on. I was getting ready to leave, right? Here's the thing. I had worked for this company already for like 6 or 7 months and had like blown the doors off the place. And like the money just wasn't killing it as a salesperson at the time when I was even as well as I was doing, and the guy who was managing me really liked me. So I left the company and was gone for like 4 or 5 months, and then he hit me up and was like, would you come back if we made you a manager and gave you a salary too? And I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I wanted to work in the car industry. I just didn't like how it was going at first, despite the fact that I was doing well. And so he brought me back. So it was the first day I was back at the gig.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I got to go in and just see what's going on. You know what I mean? And I went in and hung out and I saw we sat there and basically just watching The Office as the towers went down. And like we were in the finance manager's office just kind of hanging out all day. And then we just slowly watched like a cascade of humans go from downtown walking out back to their homes. Because we were like we were on the north edge of like downtown, right? Like we're just outside the Loop area, and like it was calm and chill. Nothing was really going on. There were still a few people milling about. Here's the thing: is like when those things are happening in another place, like people aren't like instantly aware and like rushing back to their house. So people were still kind of milling around a little bit, but like after the second tower hit and they started like talking about like what else might be going on, like in other cities, the city emptied out.
So let me tell you, I completely separate, different reaction. We had complete different reaction because I didn't. I used to drink a ton, and so I wouldn't watch TV or anything in the morning because I'd just get distracted. Because I'd be like, because I'd just be like
trying to recover.
Trying to recover. I'd stare at the news and shit instead of like getting dressed. So I would never turn the TV on. But that morning, my grandfather was supposed to have surgery, so I had that day off. And so I turned on Eddie and Jobo, of all people. And
God, did you think it was a prank for a while?
Yes. Because
I used to be on that show.
I turn on Eddie and Jobo, and they're like, "Wait a second, is this real? A plane ran into one of the World Trade buildings. Are you sure about this?" So they're like trying to get confirmation, like because it's Eddie and Jobo, so they think it's a prank.
Right.
So then I immediately turn on the TV and I see the second plane hit. Like when I turn on the TV, it's on CNN, and I see the second plane hit and think it's a replay of the first plane, but realize immediately that, oh my God, another plane hit. And when I saw the second plane hit, I immediately knew that shit was terrorism. Because I was like, what are the odds of two planes running into a fucking building?
They weren't missiles, right? Like at least for a while, everybody was pretty sure they were just planes, right?
Yeah.
Like until somebody infused confusion, we were all just like, those are obviously planes. It wasn't until later until some people were like, no, those are missiles or whatever the fuck they were claiming.
I just remember just instantly. I didn't know anything about the fucking terrorists, who they were, or anything like that. Like it could have been another fucking Timothy McVeigh for all I knew.
I was in my 20s and not very active. I like backed off of the activism. This was like,
I I was on the wrong side then, but I was still on the wrong side then.
The dark side.
When I saw the second one hit, just the first thing that just popped in my head was, that's not a fucking coincidence. That's on purpose. Like, there's no way that happened accidentally.
After the first one hit, everybody was like, was that did somebody fuck something up? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then the second one hit, and everybody was like, nah, some shit's up, dog. It's fucked up.
So my boss, who I was actually pretty friendly with, like we used to go to Bulls games and shit, we hung out a lot. He had to fly, the main bank that we did business with was based in Michigan, and he was flying in them to go get a bigger deal with them or something like that. And I remember his flight was at like 8:30 a.m. or something like that. So like I'm calling him, and he's like one of those.
Does it happen like 7:30 in the morning or something?
Yeah,
that time? Yeah.
He's one of those short dudes that shit talks people a fuck ton. So like first he's like sending the calls to voicemail. And then he finally picks up the phone. And by the way, this is back in the day where you had to pay for minutes with cell phones.
Right.
So you don't answer frivolous calls and shit, right? And he thinks I'm calling him to talk about a deal that I'm trying to close or something. And he's on a phone. He's like, I'm on a flight. I can't fucking help you. And I'm like, that's literally where he picks up the phone and goes, I'm on a fucking flight. I can't fucking help you. And I go, get the fuck off the plane. I literally just scared. I was like, get the fuck off. I was like, are you still on the plane? He goes, yeah, what are you talking about? I was like, get the fuck off the plane, Jeff. Planes are running into buildings. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but planes are crashing into buildings. Get off the fucking plane. And he pauses for a second and he goes, we were supposed to take off 30 minutes ago.
Oh,
and
yeah, they were already not going anywhere.
Yeah, they were like, they were
like, nah.
So, but he I think, it was happening for everybody who, I mean, this was 2001. Not everybody had cell phones back then.
Yeah.
But I worked in finance. Everybody had cell phones.
Right. Yeah. And, I was in sales.
Yeah. And so he, so like then he's like also like a rich asshole. So he forced himself off the plane after I told him that. But yeah, I was freaking out right out the gate.
Rob, where were you at? What was going on with you?
I was already at work.
Yeah. Were you at the jail at the time? Were you at the prison? Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the jail. I had I think I was cross watching. I had both sides. So I wasn't really paying attention to the TV at first. But what I noticed in my peripheral is that everybody was watching the same thing. And so I'm like, that's gonna require my attention in a minute. But I had to go to the other side. Because you still got jail shit to do. So I walk across the other side and now I'm seeing smoke.
Right.
So I look around. And I'm hearing the commentators now. I'm actually listening, and this is like they saying like this is a terror attack. We don't know what is happening. But the second plane, and as they saying it, they replaying it on the loop.
Right.
And the second plane, and bam, I'm like, oh shit! I had just got married like a couple of weeks before that. We had just come from our honeymoon. So I'm like, oh fuck, I got to find where my lady at. So I was like, fuck you niggas. And they telling me to lock up everything. And I'm like, yeah, fuck that. So I'm calling and shit, because my thoughts is, ain't nobody finna attack no niggas. This ain't this some shit you bitches that started. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't concerned.
Hey,
so
man.
That's so funny.
I'm talking, man. I'm talking to the wife. This heifer ain't answering shit. Like, I'm calling her on everything. She is delighted. She is so happy because there is no traffic going north.
Oh, shit.
She don't know why, but she's excited there ain't no traffic.
See, when I talk about people milling around, that's what I'm talking about. There are people, because like not everybody pays attention to the news every day, right? Like some people get up and it's like they listen to music. They're not even like they're not listening to the radio. They got their own music, Walkman, whatever. I used to never know what the fuck was. I used to know what was going on because the news, because I grew up in the city and there are newspaper boxes everywhere, and I would just grab a paper from any sometimes or whatever on my way into school.
The red was it the
red eye?
The red eye.
I was before I was before the red eye. We're all older than the red eye in Chicago.
Did they have one before that was similar? It doesn't matter.
The Reader.
The Reader was a weekly. It was a Friday thing. It still comes out, but it's crazy because obviously that was, it's interesting because I was not. I read Behold a Pale Horse at 18 and had went down a tiny, whatever. At the time, the internet wasn't big enough to go too deep down conspiracy rabbit holes. So, like, literally, I had to read that book. It wasn't like I just go read about it or anything. But it was interesting because aside from things that like Louis Farrakhan would talk about, there wasn't a whole lot of conspiracy talk like that in this country at that level. And the trajectory of what happened after 9/11 and the subsequent like turn on government as a whole by a large percentage of the population, bolstered also by capitalism again, because like, you know, the thing that happens after 9/11 is...
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I want to edit what you just said. I don't disagree with it for the general population, but there was an undercurrent in white supremacists.
Of course.
That conspiracy shit, because like Columbine happened on
like
the
I said,
same
Behold
day.
the Pale Horse was a book I'd read already before that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like
Okay,
yeah, conspiracies existed before. I'm not saying it was a start of conspiracy. I'm saying it was like...
Oh, no, I'm talking about the anti-government shit.
Sure, that, I mean...
Because then you go back to Waco...
Conspiracies creating... I mean, if you read Behold the Pale Horse and you're still pro-government, then I don't know what's going on with you. If you're a conspiracy-minded person, right? Like, if you're in a conspiracy... And you, like, at 18, I was like, oh, yeah, this shit is all the way fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, no, I know people believed in conspiracies and white supremacy. Like, yeah, the Protocols of the Elder Zion. There was a book in the 70s that I forget that a lot... It was found in Timothy McVeigh's things, and a couple other white supremacists who've done crazy shit. So I'm not saying it was... I'm saying the shot in the arm was perfect timing for a shot in the arm for a couple of things, and the evolution of like social media was one of them. Like Google videos was a thing that was out at the time, and at the time YouTube you could only do like 10-minute videos, and Google videos you could do longer than 10 minutes. Okay, and so when Loose Change came out, the big documentary that was about how, I mean, I remember before 2001 was over into 2002, I was already looking at videos about how people claimed there was a missile that would hit the Pentagon, and like, because we had an inept president at the time who was like, of course, reading books to children when the fucking towers are getting hit.
Dude.
And is
he
like...
froze for 8 minutes.
And sat there for 8 minutes not knowing what to do.
8 minutes, man. 8 minutes.
And
he fucking
and
froze.
when you get around all
he froze.
And there's a lot of like weird, odd
and we reelected that son of a
hold on. There's a lot of weird, odd shit leading up to it, as far as like the training drill shit, which is real and confirmed. The fact that these people, they were in America learning and training and like
Bobby, they ignored
that's what I'm
at
saying.
the top
there were warnings.
Ignored
Yes.
a memo that said Arabs learning how to fly but don't care about how to land planes.
Right.
That was literally the title of the memo. Arabs learning how to fly but don't what's her name? The sister with the base in
Condoleezza.
Right.
Condoleezza Rice directly ignored that. The vice president motherfucker Cheney directly ignored that. But General Clark tried to get that to them.
But here's what I'm saying. Here we are in 2001, right? When this is happening. Cable news is exploding, right? Like everybody's popping off. There's all these channels that are available. The internet is thriving right now. All of a sudden, shit is kicking
9/11 broke Dennis Miller.
Videos are going off. It's like people are, and there's this like at the beginning, and they rush to try and blame people right away. And all this shit is happening. But like what it created through Loose Change is like that thing was watched by millions and millions of people.
I watched it like 5 times.
Translated into other languages, and listening to the guys that made the thing that really kicked it off, like Joe Rogan bought 10 copies of it. That was like their first big celebrity buy. And like, once you start being adopted by people who have large followings, and he's pushed it on his podcast too. And so like what that has created, what it further bolstered was, yes, white supremacy and conspiracy theorists and people who had distrust of the government existed, but then this ability to create a cottage industry of
hating the government,
how to hate the government began, or how to at least question it in a way in which people who aren't as like held together emotionally may do some wild random shit. Right? And that compounds on itself, right? You see all these documentaries that have come out since for crazy shit that people are talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all these, you were talking about all these YouTube videos that have been deleted in the last year from crazy conspiracy theorists. They're all like similar to these Loose Change videos. But like that leads to what happens when, like
the crazy thing about the Loose Change video though is they had some real shit in it.
The Swift boat shit in 04, the birther conspiracy, the fucking, the emails, you know what I mean? Like there's all these things that just
you
kind of
can
like
make anything sound
But it's built,
like
but
a
it's all
conspiracy.
built off.
All you
of-
got to do is have one of those videos, and then like when you say something, you change the music to like a doo, and you're like, and why would he do such and such if he was
Of
blah blah
course.
blah? And it's like, yeah, it's a fucking formula.
And it's wild because here we are now in 2021 where we are handing Afghanistan back to these people that this situation has created in the first place. A situation started by a guy who in the early 80s was part of a group of people who were fighting Russians out of Afghanistan then. And here we are in 2021, 10 years after that man was murdered, killed, whatever you want to say, handing this back to the Afghanistan, to the Taliban people, essentially, who were ruling it at the time when they hit the towers, right? Mm-hmm. And what we have in this country is an incredible divide of people that has come, I think, almost as a multiplication of that conspiracy theory concept. Like when I was, that shit flew me, the shit that happened after 2001 flew me, that's when I was watching the most Alex Jones, was right then.
Yeah.
Because that was when everybody had the least trust of George Bush.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as he just decided he was going, because he wasn't going after Osama bin Laden right away, he was going after Saddam Hussein.
Which made no
and
fucking sense.
Everybody who could read anything or watch any cable was like, why him? Oh, he threatened your dad. That was the whole gimmick, right?
Yeah,
they wanted
you
oil.
Ultimately, it didn't even have anything to do with Bush. It was fucking Cheney.
Right.
Cheney wanted to
And
do that shit because
Rumsfeld.
he wanted. Yeah, they had plots on trying to steal the oil.
Why did Dick Cheney choose his motherfucking self to become vice president? Because they knew they had elected an idiot.
Exactly.
And they needed somebody to watch the store.
Exactly.
And they was like, okay, get one of the dudes directly from oil.
I have no idea how direct this is. Obviously, it's from a movie, but is it not Apatow? I can't think of it. But they did a movie that was like supposed to be like how it's called Cheney. Or is it called Dick?
Dick.
It's called Dick.
Yeah. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. Batman plays Cheney. He gets all fat.
Vice.
Christian Bale. Vice. That's it.
Vice.
Yeah. Vice.
And
Super
but
good.
there's a scene where he's talking to George Bush, and George Bush he's like, well, I'd handle defense and agriculture and international affairs, and I'd handle the military, of course, blah blah blah. He like lists basically everything that the president's supposed to do. He's like, I'll handle all that, and and George Bush is like, great, it's your thing, like.
Well, and obviously there's exaggeration there because that's it wasn't like it's not pulled from any recorded tapes that they have, but like essentially that was what was kind of going on. George Bush didn't give a fuck about invading anybody.
Dick Cheney's
you know what I mean?
still
Like,
not on, like you can't see his house on Google.
that's crazy.
Like, yeah.
But like you throw in like what Rudy Giuliani got off of that, his profile was elevated off of that, even though he was not doing anything good in New York at the time.
Nothing.
He was doing nothing good in New York at the time, saying that, except for saying nice things about first responders.
He held a megaphone and like
Wore a
cheered
cool
on.
helmet.
Like he was a cheerleader, at a time when the city and the nation needed it. He was the good superficial whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he's a piece of shit.
But when you look at where we are right now in this country, and you see the level of division that we do have going on, the reason why I think we are as afraid as we are now, not that we wouldn't be afraid without that, we'd probably be afraid in some other ways, but like that was an extreme catalyst for the level of division that's going on now. The economic stuff in 2008 was a fallout of that because recreating trust in America and buying back into America was a big deal after that shit happened. Flags were out everywhere. Motherfuckers were super kind to people for like a long ass time.
Yeah.
People were polite. People were all about like putting money back in. People's houses all of a sudden started gaining value. You know what I mean? Like houses became worth more and more money. And then the 2008 crash happened. And then the distrust of government grows even more, right? Because we realize how much more it's on bullshit. People who thought they had made it out of the problems because of America were like, fuck America.
We're gonna keep it. I'm not getting the whole story, but
we do got
that shit was that shit was so crazy when house values start going up like insanely like that I quit being in a business where I made a lot of money selling that shit because I literally was like, I don't know what I had no idea. This is not like I was predictive. I didn't know what was going to go bad, but I was like, this can't keep going. Like it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like this. We can't. And they kept coming out with more and more.
It was like watching the first internet bubble where they were just like where companies were getting all types of crazy investment money and had nothing.
I think that might have shaped my thing because I was in college studying finance when the internet bubble happened, and I had a professor. The internet bubble happened the end of my junior year, I think, and I had a professor that from my freshman year up to that point had been constantly saying, this can't keep going, guys. Like he kept saying, like I know some of you are making money doing small investments and stuff, but I just need you to understand you can get out. Like you can't keep going. He used to say it all the time. He ran it down. What?
It's kind of weird because being a little older, I can see the pattern a little longer because I was in politics when I was 10.
Sure.
Like when I was 10 years old, I was like, why they gonna tell women what they can and can't do? This is
right.
what I'm thinking in my mind.
Yeah.
And Reagan was horrible. Like
he was terrible.
But what it shows me is that it ain't never changed. Like from Reconstruction and shit. But to be able to illustrate it each time is what's so amazing. And my illustration at that time in my life, I was thinking, well, if people making money and I'm smart, I'm gonna make some of it too. And I started making money doing that shit. But I knew, I was like, wait a minute. They backing this shit with fucking investments? Like, nigga, I didn't have to provide shit. They sent me a motherfucking check. Like, even now, trying to get a loan, I'm like, why y'all keep asking me for all this shit?
Look. Oh God, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it's an awesome movie. It was up for Academy Award. It's about this. It stars the guy from The Office that played Michael.
Okay.
Anyway,
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, yeah. So it stars Steve Carell. It's a hilarious movie, but there's a scene in it where he goes to investigate because he sees these guys in Florida like making all this money, selling all these loans.
Big Short.
Oh, The Big Short.
The Big Short.
It's a movie about the actual housing crisis.
Yeah. And The Big Short. It's an amazing movie. You should check it out because of the way they break it down. But there's a scene where he starts talking to him, and the guys. They accidentally admit in that scene. Most people watching don't probably fully realize what happens. He asked them what they're doing, and he explains to basically what you just said. They weren't asking people for shit. They were just doing these loans, and they were bullshit. And the dude basically just admitted to a felony. And Steve Carell's character is like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
that was me when I say I love the business because we had banks coming to us. I swear,
I had an appraiser when I worked for AmeriQuest who was like, she would find insane value in homes for people. She would somehow get away with putting in comps that were nowhere near the fucking house, and would blow people out.
Just like a 3-mile radius that technically you're supposed to have. But
it was ridiculous.
In the city, it shouldn't be that much because in the city, all houses are the same basically if you're on the block.
It was ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, we need to talk about Texas.
Let me just say, right before you get to Texas, let me just say this. When that movie came out, he was just talking about.
Yeah, The Big Short.
I have been watching Rachel Maddow and listening to her since Air America. So everything that they were saying was happening. I'm like, damn, Rachel, this shit ain't adding up. So she had already told me what was happening. I was like, well, let me give me a bag before this shit falls apart.
In Texas, the United States, with Merrick Garland leading the way, man, screw a buddy over for a Supreme Court seat and watch how he comes after you, right?
Hey.
Merrick Garland and the United States is suing Texas over their crazy abortion law. Which is a fucking crazy abortion law.
Yeah, there's 2 different places that they have Texas on, because Texas created the abortion law to elude federal intervention in the court.
Right.
It's crafted pretty well. However,
it's not crafted well.
It's crafted pretty well for the thing for what they were trying to do.
Provides, but it's not crafted well because. Like once you start to challenge it, this is the big question that everybody has: is like, what happens if you try and sue somebody? Like, how are you gonna like your question? Like, you know what you were right about?
I was saying crafted well to avoid
listen to me. You know what you were right about? The HIPAA question. You were right about the because I went looking for it, and I was like, where is this? Where is the HIPAA question? And here's why I'm saying the bill isn't well written, because there's nothing in there that explains like the rule, like. it's still illegal to fucking break HIPAA laws to get that. Like, you still can't do that. So, like, how are you going to prove that you know somebody got an abortion after 6 weeks? The only reason why it's shut down now is because the clinics aren't sure how they have to deal with what's going on, and they're not going to just randomly they don't want to just randomly take on lawsuit situations.
Yeah, because it still costs you money to.
It's going to take an individual with an attorney who's down to fucking fight some fights, who's got some money, who's in Texas, who's ready to roll with it. That's going to be what it's going to take, because like this happened years ago in Ohio where this dude tried to pass some bill and they asked him like how much he knew about women's reproductive systems and B, how much he understood the bill as it was written, and he was like not real. It was just like there's a lot of like throwing mud against the wall. So what I'm saying is like somebody found a trick on how to take the heat off of the government, because that's who normally gets sued in these situations. But that's the only trick that exists.
That's what I was saying. Well crafted. You didn't let me finish the point, but I like what you said. Everything you said I agree with. What I was saying was it was well crafted to evade immediately a federal lawsuit. That's the only thing. I didn't even look anything after that because I thought the HIPAA thing.
That's the only thing it does is it takes the heat off of the government.
I never looked into anything else other than the bill because I was like, no one has answered the HIPAA question, because the HIPAA question, how you can't ask somebody, you can't. I had an employee who was living in my apartment. He lived with me, right? And he's an employee, and he went to my partner for something about a medical thing, and he told him in confidence, and legally my partner couldn't tell me about it. And I was like, this motherfucker lives with me, man. Is this something I need to know? And he's like, we can't talk about it, man. We fucking get sued out of business. Very serious, man. Like, so how the fuck are you gonna make somebody prove that they did or didn't have a fucking surgery?
I mean, I live
a medical procedure.
I live with a doctor who will occasionally try and tell me stories and is like super careful to make sure to never divulge any information that is like anything. Like I get very like particled, redacted stories. You know what I mean? Like
talk about is the part that's in the public eye.
Right. That's it.
The only thing that you could talk about.
That's it. That's the only thing you talk about.
But what I'm trying to, I don't know, man. I guess ultimately it'll be struck down, but I don't know. I don't know so much. See, because none of this shit matters, because they have the Supreme Court, and they have already signaled what they are going to do. Now, once they get to this point where they get to Mississippi, this shit is over with. Now, the only thing you're going to be able to do is try to pass a law and let them beat that up too, or you're going to have to change the whole Supreme Court.
Well, I don't know. Here is something that I've said before, and I'm going to repeat it because I think that it thus far has proven to be true. The Supreme Court is a lifetime. All these judges are lifetime appointments. Like, even though people have political affiliations, they don't have people that they owe stuff to in the same way that a congressman or a senator does, that they constantly need somebody. Because there's going to be a Supreme Court justice for as long as they fucking want to be a Supreme Court justice.
Stephen Breyer's proven that to be true.
And and so with that being said, they care about history, and they care about if they do a precedent that immediately gets struck down because it's absurd. They care about that shit because their name is on that shit. And kids in college where they went to Harvard or wherever, all of them went to Harvard or Yale, like the kids will see in books and shit that they got shit on for making a bad decision. Their egos, they care about that shit personally. They care about their legacy.
I mean, I don't know anything about all that shit. What I do know is that, like, the easiest way, this is what Merrick Garland is arguing, is that, like, the precedent that it sets is terrible, not just for this type of situation, but, like, if Governor Pritzker and the Democratic Party in Illinois passed a law that said, we're no longer going to go after people who own guns, but if you see someone who owns a gun, if you see someone try and get a gun, if you know anyone who tries to help and aid someone get a gun in the state of Illinois, you can sue for $10,000. Anyone and everyone involved in that gun situation, seeing, helping get, shooting, owning, trying to carry across, anything gun related, you can sue that person for $10,000. And
so treat gun shops like abortion
you
clinics.
could do that in a number of different ways, right? If you see someone who is being discriminatory towards a trans person, who is making fun of, abusing, you can sue that person for $10,000. You can create these laws that take the government out of having to enforce it or being in a place of being sued for the situation, and flip this around. And I think that's where the precedent fight is going to be on that. In the meantime, though, what Mexico has done is they've actually went ahead and just decriminalized abortion. They're like, hey, listen, come on. We know there's some people going that way, but if some of y'all want to come this way, you come on down here.
Man.
Come on down.
Like Rick James in that.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, man, if I can figure out how to make these Google Pods translation thing work for conversational Spanish, I'm gone. I'm out. I'll be able to understand what's going on. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation. And Greg Abbott is not done. He's done some other stuff. He's going after an anti-mask and vaccination mandate. So while what we're going to talk about next was Joe Biden's ordering of vaccines in places, Abbott is fighting against that, which is obvious, I guess. I don't know. I'm the crazy thing is that his approval rating is at like 36% or something.
Yeah.
Right now he's got a dropping approval rating, which makes sense for the most part. They also passed this weird social media law that's supposed to not allow people to kick you off of social media.
What?
Right? It's like, how do you even enforce it? Are you going to prevent people from getting to Facebook from Texas? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to lock people out of it? It's a law that bans kicking people off of social media based on viewpoints.
Do you guys remember, like, back in the day? These were shows before our time, but we would have seen when we were kids, like the R Gang,
Little Rascals.
Little Rascals and shit like that. Remember the dudes that were the assholes, the bullies, and man, like these motherfuckers are 100% those guys, man. Like they're like those guys growing up for real.
They're
like
just seeing what they can do, man. How can we fucking just make any dumb law around the shit you've got?
They're just dicks, man. They're just dicks for no reason. They're young Robert Downey Jr. in fucking in John Landis movies, man. Like,
so when you talked about the R Gang, I seen it all the way. Like, I was like, damn, I just thought that all the motherfuckers was like that.
Holmes.
Just some of them they made cuter than other ones. You know what I'm saying? They had a whole gang of dudes that had a clubhouse where no girls could be at. You know what I'm saying?
No girls allowed.
It's so wild, man. In the meantime, in Florida, 13 Miami-Dade school workers have died in the last month. Which is too many. It is more than should be happening. That is a place where they're fighting hard against any type of mandated anything. Regeneron DeSantis is big on doing his shit.
Man, yeah, so I know
there's a lot of stuff by Regeneron. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of stuff we have to change. Here's something I think everybody should be able to get on board with. If you are holding a position of congressman or senator at the state level or higher, so state or federal level or anything higher, so governor, senator, all that shit, your accounts should be frozen completely. You should be put into a trust, a blind trust that...
I mean, we can't pass a law because the guy who's holding everything up is in a state that is run by Exxon. Right, like Joe Manchin out of West Virginia. Almost every politician, if you don't own a coal company when you start as a West Virginia politician, you own one before you're done.
Yeah,
Manchin didn't own a coal company when he first started in politics. He was just a politician. Now he owns a coal company now, though.
Wow.
Who, Manchin?
Yeah.
Joe Manchin.
Joe Manchin owns a coal company.
Oh wow! I just thought he was hanging from the coal.
People in West Virginia,
3.5 trillion makes sense.
Like people in West Virginia will tell you, like the people running for office, like the D or the R doesn't really matter because what matters is Exxon.
Dude,
Exxon is what matters in West Virginia.
He owns a coal company.
The working people in West Virginia don't like any of these motherfucking people.
The 3.5 trillion basically gets rid of coal.
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia is a coal spot. Of course, that's why they hit. But
here's the thing that's so fucked up about it. I mean, I understand coal has a ton of money and shit like that, but the people of West Virginia, please, if you listen to somebody in West Virginia, I know you motherfuckers. If you listen to me in West Virginia, wow, shout out. Thank you.
Good for you.
Wow, yeah, good.
Shout out.
Yeah, but there's better jobs, man. You can have better fucking lives. Like they want to flip. They want to turn West Virginia into like the place where all like the solar panels and shit are made. There was a plan to do some shit like that. They also want to make electric cars and shit there. Like that's like what they're going to turn those coal miner motherfuckers into. Get the fuck out of the coal. You can go there. We'll do some shit. It's some shit that should be automated, but we won't automate it. We'll keep it until like for 10 or 20 years. We'll keep it a job where you can work there until we figure out universal pay for everybody.
Well, to try and get us back on track, Joey Biden is moving some shit up. Joey Robinette Biden. Maggie May, who is fucking hilarious. She posted the other day. She goes, "We do not talk enough about how our president's middle name is Robinette." That's a maiden name that was a couple generations ago, and that family is gone, obviously, because there are no Robinettes anymore.
I do not talk shit about anybody's middle name. So.
Right? Yeah, I understand. So. Joe Biden is imposing some strict new vaccine rules. If you're a federal worker, you have to get vaccinated. There is no testing every day option for you. It's fucking. You're working for the Fed, you either better have a damn good medical reason or you're fucking getting vaxxed. That's how it works. And now the new one is companies that have over 100 employees have to get vaccinated and or test every day, I think it is. Yeah. And he is starting to it's
crazy?
He's starting to sound like somebody's daddy because he's talking about we've been patient and our patience is running thin.
Yeah, he got real strong.
Well, here's the deal though, like that's a reality though, right? Is like if you are chasing all these other solutions or you're not getting vaccinated, or you're running around with no mask on, and you're holding up because of the illnesses, one, you're filling up hospitals, which is costing people probably a lot of money that's not going to get paid, right? A lot of people don't have insurance. They're not going to be paying that money back, or they're going to go deeper into debt because we don't have health care here that'll cover that. And along with that, the economic part of the thing cannot get back on track if this thing keeps holding out with so many people getting sick and staying unvaccinated. So it's not just about this, like, you're fucking it up for everybody.
Hey, I want to say one quick thing. Another thing that Biden said, or they put in part of his executive orders, the at-home rapid test. They have they have some 30-second rapid tests now, I think, or something like that, right? I gave it up to Bobby earlier because I said that they would be free. And they were not. You had to buy them in the store. However, I'm taking 25% back because they are now at cost in the store. They are subsidizing them completely to sell at cost at the CVS. So I'm going to take 25%.
I would take half. Okay, 25%. I'll take 25% off of what I'm owed for that. That's fine. That's reasonable, I think. But they are still selling them motherfuckers. That was a big argument we got into. Is like XL thought that the altruism of wanting to make sure people got healthy would be if they would
I didn't
give
think
them
it was altruism. I didn't think altruism. I thought it would be because it was just the most convenient, like a 30-second. Here's what I'm saying.
Gives a fuck about
that. I know what I'm saying. If you at like Great America didn't open at all this summer,
right?
But if they had those 30-second tests for free and it didn't cost them anything, well, at cost is going to pretty much therefore Great America is going to be open next year.
Yeah,
I don't know if they still exist. Maybe they went belly under.
Considering how
I pass that place all the fucking time, they have not been open all summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Considering how Great America
charging me still.
Considering how theme parks work, they would just sell you the fucking test. You can either come vaccinated or you can spend $5 or whatever it is and get a test. Like Great America was going to give you no free test. They weren't going to do that shit.
Hey, check and see if I'm wrong if they have special days. But I drive to Milwaukee like twice a month. And I pass Great America every time.
No, they are open. I've seen comics.
I have not seen a single fucking roller coaster move a single time I walk past.
Oh, I've seen roller coasters moving on there, but I never know if they're just trying shit out or what the fuck is
really?
going on.
I swear to God, I've never. Maybe
Fright Fest is coming, baby.
Oh yeah, baby. In Virginia, the Robert E. Lee statue, which is that was where he made his last stand. They took that shit down, which thank goodness. I don't know what the fuck they were waiting on. I don't know why I can't open the article to look at it. Man,
did you see the dumbass shit Trump punk ass said? This motherfucker gonna say Robert Lee was a great general. He would have, if it wasn't for Gettysburg, he would have won the war. Nigga, if it was,
well, shit, if it wasn't for a back injury, I'd have been 6'5".
If Mike Tyson had knocked all those people out, he'd have never been champ. Yeah. What the fuck do you mean? If it wasn't for Gettysburg was the fucking deciding.
That was the whole deal, man.
It's a fucking deciding battle.
If you remember, that statue in Virginia was one, and I say I say it was one because I've seen a number of them that look like that, but that statue in Virginia was just plastered over with shit when like at last year that thing got covered up so quickly with other shit. I was down in Louisiana, and that shit was fucked. That shit was all plastered over too. They had already gotten into that.
Hey James, is that a map that shows where their statues were at?
Yeah.
It looked like they said there was one in Illinois, and I didn't think there was
No,
one in
Indiana. There's one in Indiana. There's two in Missouri.
Okay. I was about to say I've been very proudly saying there are none of those motherfuckers
No,
in
we
Illinois.
didn't do that shit here. The land of Lincoln is not erecting statues. We're the only statues in Lincoln.
Down in the corner at the bottom. What is that? The one in Missouri. Is that?
That's
it's probably
Missouri.
right on the border. It's probably
Missouri.
right on the border.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They just.
As soon as you leave East St. Louis, it's right there.
I know what you really think. Come on over here.
Yeah.
Well, East St. Louis is black as fuck, so they probably do get that motherfucker right there just to remind motherfuckers as soon as they cross. It's different over here.
There's this interesting environmental story. There's a plant. Where is this? Is this in Iceland or? It's in Iceland. So there's a new plant that opened up. It's called the direct air capture plant. It's gone online. It's supposed to suck carbon dioxide out of the air.
Holy shit.
Which is insane. Right?
Which is awesome.
So what they're saying is like, obviously we can't reverse necessarily what's going on just yet, right? Like even though we know these are all the things we got to do, we know y'all whack motherfuckers ain't just going to jump on board right away, or it's going to take you a long time to implement some of these changes you're going to do. In the meantime, we can open this plant and it can suck out X amount of metric tons. I think it's 4,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide a year.
Damn.
And just pull that out of the air.
I don't know how much pollution is in the air. If
probably a hell of a lot more.
4,000 metric tons, yeah. I don't know if that's a lot or if that is just a bloop.
Bro, I saw a video of some shit. I think it was in China the other day. Of people thought it was like a weird light phenomenon, and what it was sunlight pouring through the cloud through pollution.
So yeah, they had their pollution situation there is atrocious.
It looked like our cover art, I think, for the show, where it looked like the truth and
James
light.
has to answer for us.
We're currently putting just Earth as a whole is putting 43 billion tons of CO2 in the air a year.
And we're talking about 4,000 metric tons.
So it's not nothing.
So we need a few of those plants.
This is like a gnat nipping at an elephant.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you get a million gnats, that elephant gonna get irritated.
That's
a big bite.
We get this like cross trajectory going, right? Of like plants and this thing going. Listen, take all those fucking coal miners, send them to Iceland, tell them to learn how to make this fucking shit. Right? And like, boom.
So what is it? It sucks it in, and what does it do with it?
Here's what it does. It buries it in this thing that compresses the carbon dioxide and turns it into stone after 2 years.
Come on.
Turns it into stone.
So also now we also have a new source. Because, by the way, this is a whole topic we could talk about at another time, but the world is running out of sand. The specific type of sand that we need for to build shit.
Right.
Microchips.
And for cement, the kind we need for cement.
In a weird turn of events, see how far the star has fallen. Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. will spend 9/11 offering color commentary during an Evander Holyfield fight. It's come down to this: Evander Holyfield and Vitor Belfort are fighting tomorrow night. They're going to be.
How old is Belfort?
Belfort is 44.
Holyfield
is 58.
Yeah.
Holyfield had a bunch of kids and also had a divorce. So at 58, he's probably, and he was a boxer. And there's like 4 boxers ever who manage their money right. There's like 4 of them. You know what I mean? And so you have an option with this where you can either get the Trump version or the non-Trump version because
talk
about a country divided, right? Like,
but here's a great thing: we're gonna have numerical
no
proof.
extra money for the Trump or less money for the Trump. By the way,
but
there's no same price. Whichever way you want to
proof
go
on where we are in America by. How badly
you can see where the fight fans are.
Yeah,
I almost want to buy the non-Trump version just to throw a number in there again.
Yeah. I feel like that's a vote.
I feel like
that's
I got to throw 50.
Vote.
Yeah, I feel like I'm voting all over again because he's going to say this shit. If you think that if the Trump views blow out the non-Trump views, if you don't think he's going to start doing interviews where he's like, well, I did the fight commentary, and
apparently America loves me.
and when you see the numbers that came back from that, you can see that the non-Trump fight commentary, aka the Biden commentary, if you will, no one was interested in that.
If that is your Trump,
It's terrible,
horrible.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
know.
sounded like Trump if he was a Jewish lawyer
That's
in
it.
an old
That's right.
70s movie.
Hey, this the thing though. What you don't seem to understand is no one else does. He ain't got to get enough. He gonna claim it anyway.
I was just about to say the same shit. I swear to God, I was gonna let you go out. I swear to God, I was gonna say the same shit. He gonna say the same shit either way.
This where it at. This where it at. I can tell you exactly what it's gonna be. He gonna say the fight was doing terrible numbers until I got involved, and then once I got involved, then they started to sell. Motherfucker, we was gonna do fine. We like seeing this old nigga for some reason get beat up. You know what I mean?
Speaking of a place where you're not going to see Trump, Twitter has some new stuff that's coming out. They've offered out. They've got this new feature called Communities, which is super weird. It's like it's going to be like subreddits or like Facebook pages or groups, where if you want to talk about Bitcoin, there will be like a thing called Communities where you can join this community and then tweet within this community about like whatever that subject is.
So there's actually going to be an actual location for Black Twitter now?
There will be a Black Twitter group, a community now, most likely. I would assume that would be one of them, right? Like, where
I'm going to be an admin in there. Yeah, I have new life goals.
Yeah, that's they've got that coming out, and now they also have announced that they're going to be adding to profile bios anything that is automated by bots. So when you see bot automated things, like they do things like scoregami is done by bots sometimes, some of the scoregami stuff. Like, do you know what scoregami is? Scoregami is like in sports games when there's a score that's never happened before. It's usually in football.
Yeah.
Like a score that's never happened before is scoregami.
Okay.
So, like in the NFL, if it's, there's been a couple Super Bowls. They've been like weird, like 55-10 was, I think, a scoregami game where like there'd never been a 55-10 game score in any football game ever before. Yeah. But there are bots that can tell you like the prediction based on how a game is going, like what the percentage possibility of a final, like there's bots that do all that shit. So they've added a couple new features, which I think makes Twitter pretty interesting. There's a weird phenomenon that happened in Mexico that I didn't know was a thing until I saw what was going on there. They had a crazy ass earthquake there recently. They had this giant earthquake, and it was a 7.0 magnitude earthquake.
Holy shit.
The weird shit was afterwards. After it was happening, these crazy lights started flashing all over the place. Which I think we've got the video that's playing somewhere in here now, if you can see it. Yeah. So this is post-earthquake with these fucking crazy lights that are happening. That was actually coming out of the earth.
Whoa. What? Those lights were coming up out of the earth?
Holy fuck.
That's some Godzilla shit, my dude.
Yeah, basically, like the example that's given in the article that I read that was talking about was like
Celestials being born.
If you took a roll of adhesive tape into like a dark closet and then you peel back a strip quickly, like you'd get a little flicker of light, just because of the energy that's being created by that and the tape and the adhesive. Like, it's not a direct correlation, but like there are reactions that happen that create flickers of light. If it's a 7.0 magnitude earthquake, the flickers of light are going to be fucking crazier.
Those are like a bunch of sparks.
Well,
and rock.
it's light. Yeah, it's light. It's not necessarily sparks. It's just like the reaction that happens. It's just
energy.
There's exactly what causes it. There's still like it's still out. Is it electrical phenomenon? They're not sure whether it's an electrical phenomenon or how that really, or whether it's a bright power flash or exactly what that is. But they're still trying to sort that out.
What you call that stuff? Fracking.
Yeah, the difficulty is you can't, obviously the only time you can ever really test it is like being ready when the shit is happening. You know what I mean? Like that's the only, otherwise you have no idea, like it's not you can recreate that necessarily. You can't make an earthquake happen.
Over Earth and then look away from the former vice president's crib and watch it happening. Rewind. You know they taping all this shit.
The last thing I want to talk about is just a little weird personal rant about something that happened. There was a I guess a charity event of some sort or a support event that happened here recently. It was like a cops and comedy thing where a bunch of comedians got together to play a softball game with a bunch of cops, which Listen, I'm not in charge of anybody's shit, right? Everybody's got to live their own life, and all that's cool. But it's just so wild to see, like, to be in a place where so many of our people are, like, treated so poorly by the serve and protect crew in this city, and the idea of, like, wanting to go out and, like, create this, like, this, and it like does nothing, right? Like, you feel good because you feel like, you think some bond was made over this, like some bridge was built between the cops and the city by this thing. No, you got together and played a softball game with guys who normally go out and fucking pull you over for a weird headlight out and they want to search your car forever, you know? Like, seeing guys I know that have survived off of doing things that are definitely jail, prison-worthy, illegal, playing softball with cops like it's a cool time and taking pictures afterwards is insane to me. They are... It's just very... It's very contradictory and troublesome. And, like, the thing is, like, listen, like I said, hey, man, wherever people's sensibilities lies and what they feel for and all that other shit, but it's just interesting to see. You know what I mean? Like, that is for, like, we talk about this whole, like, comedians are supposed to be the contrarian view, and I've had some of the people I've had at least one of the people who was at that fucking game come at me in, like I've, like, come about a post that he made that was, like, a shitty joke with accuracy, like, oh, well, you know, this is what this actually means, and have him be like, oh, you can't and, like, I don't know, it just seems so backwards to me or false to me from somebody to go out and participate in a thing that there's no reason to participate in. And I know that may make some people who have, if anybody hears this or the story gets shared, it may make some of those people upset, and I'm sure they've got some reasons as to why they did it or think they're doing something. I mean, sure, you know what I mean? But, like, you know, we're still fighting for fucking reparations for 400 fucking years ago. And you're out here playing fucking softball with them like everything's chill. It's not chill. It's not war. It's not chill, though. They shot your people like a couple of months ago, a 13-year-old in the street. But, you know, organize a softball game. It's all good.
Can you imagine having to work for them motherfuckers? Can you imagine? I mean,
if you're playing a softball game with them and you're putting that shit out, you are working for them in a sense.
Dude, I'm saying, yes, you are the promotion arm. But I'm saying where the fucking rubber meets the road. Guess what happens in those situations too? The exact same shit that's happening in the general goddamn public. Mm-hmm. When them motherfuckers would all had them softball games, some group of us was like, man, that's for them motherfuckers. I ain't trying to be promoted. I don't want to be around these motherfuckers no longer than I have to. I got a kid in college. I got whatever I got going on, but I am not fucking with them people to the level to think that they are that familiar with me. And I am totally comfortable with you not wanting to be friendly.
And it's not like it's not okay to seek common ground with some people. I understand, like, of course, the goal at the end is to try and find some way to get to but, like, if you think this is the step, it looks performative to me. It looks super performative. And, like, people can be mad or take it any way they want to or have a conversation if they want, but, like, you know, you're entitled to why you do what you do, and I'm entitled to say something about it, you know?
What if they did it because they got community service?
Yeah, maybe just expunge somebody from some shit. But I guarantee you, if some of those homies get pulled over next week by a cop that ain't them people, they're gonna be like, I just played softball with Officer so-and-so last week. I can't believe this. It's like, well, I can.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So, you know, Man, X, what you up to this week, man? This is going to be the worst transition I got for the year.
I got a couple shows. I'm at Lincoln Lodge, I think Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday.
I had to get that off my chest.
Chop House. Hey, I ain't mad about it at all.
You're at Chop House when?
Wednesday?
This Wednesday.
This Wednesday coming up. I think that's the 15th. Yeah. That lineup is sick, man.
Nice.
It's a dope-ass lineup. Me, Adam Burke, I think Mo Good is on it.
Hell yeah.
There's like 4 or 5.
That's amazing.
Like it's a nice, dope-ass lineup. I'm excited for it.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's where I'll be at next week. XL Comedy, at XL Comedy.
Rob, where you at, man?
Hey, man, I have been working on some new sketches. I have been writing and scheduling myself. I have been learning to be more organized.
And where are you going to be next week?
Nowhere, but working on my new comedy.
Oh, yeah, you're not here this week. You're here in the week after, right? I was like, jacked. I was excited, like Monday, nigga.
I was like, what is that signal that Bobby's doing? I was so confused for a second. I was like, what is? Like, but you can't. You guys
still
can't see
amped.
at
I'm
home.
still
I don't
amped.
know.
I'm still
Oh, maybe
amped.
you guys can't see. Yeah, Bobby was making it sound.
I'm still amped.
That's exciting.
Anyway,
We're
where you
excited.
at, Rob?
Robert_L_Hines across all social media.
Early warning, I will be opening for Zach Peterson at the Laughing Tap on October 1st and 2nd. It's a Friday, Saturday, obviously. Tickets are on sale now, so get to laughingtap.com and order your tickets if you're going to be in the Milwaukee area. Get vaccinated. You're going to have to wear a mask if you're there. Get to Mocha_Jesus for all my show dates and everything going on with that. Get to @NewOGsPod for show information. We have a bunch of clips and stuff on there that you can find. Subscribe and like us, please. And then make sure you get to People of Comedy Network and People of Comedy on Instagram and Twitter and everything. Find them on Facebook, find them on Twitch, find them on YouTube. Subscribe to all those places. Catch us back here next week. That's what's up.
That is definitely what's up. Go ahead.
Bitches wanna fuck, but nigga, you can't blame us. You can't. Bitch, you better play your role. I feel like Nelly when he